We've got Gabe Cut live and direct on the line here, friend, fellow Uber driver, and we are about to chop it up. So, Gabe, I don't know how many rides you've got under your belt, but I got over 1,000, and I know you probably got more than that. And I want to play some shit that I don't know if you've heard from a documentary about Uber that might fire you up. And now this is called how rideshare Uber outwitted regulators and crushed competition from the Four Corners. This is ABC News in depth from Australia. And I'm going to play us a couple clips.
Today, it's one of the world's most recognizable brands. But for Uber, it's been far from a smooth ride. A series of scandals has severely damaged its reputation. And despite its popularity, it's still losing billions of dollars.
It's massively unprofitable. It has no competitive advantage, and it has no signs that it could expand profitably. To turn around $4.5 billion of losses into steady growing profits would be one of the greatest corporate turnarounds of an operating company in history.
So I'm not sure if you were aware of their illegal rise to dominance.
Yeah, no, I was aware that they've been kind of skirting regulations everywhere that they've been operating, including the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they did try to kind of bribe their way into China, but they were foiled and I think perhaps even led on. I don't know that they were ever really contenders to be in that market, but I heard they lost billions trying to become the rideshare dominant force in China.
Wow. I had not heard that. I got one more clip I want to play for you here, and then I just kind of want to dice it up.
Sure.
In most places, transport regulators declared it an illegal taxi service.
Uber implemented a sophisticated strategy to destroy, conceal, cover up, and falsify records or documents with the intent to impede or obstruct government investigations.
So that's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, it sounds like Australia, they've done some investigative journalism into Uber.
Yeah. And well, and that's a good point. Sounds like in Australia, because we've heard jack shit about this here, right?
Yeah, every time we seem to hear things about Uber, it's more about the former CEO Travis Kalanick sexually harassing employees, or it's never about them operating illegally in many cities.
In every city. So they did this, and this documentary is amazing, and I highly urge you and everybody else to check it out. And I'll include a link to it in the description of this podcast. But it also goes into how they did that in every single market, and they just decided, it's better to pay the penalty than it is to wait for permission. And so there were other, and this is what people don't know, and this blew me away. There were other companies that had the same idea, but they were following the law. So they had applied for the permit. They were waiting for approval. There were 4 other companies. And Uber just fucked them all. All those investors lost all their money, and they did nothing wrong. Uber broke the law and made bank, but they didn't make bank. They're still losing money. So it's a failed business plan, right? And they've even said it. I don't know if it's this documentary or somewhere else, that they said the only way that they can make money is by not having a driver in the car.
Okay, so maybe that's been their strategy all along. Build the company up to where the consumers are so dependent on it, and then all the while losing money. And then when self-driving cars become a thing, that's their
Boom.
end
I
game.
think you fucking nailed it right there. And they'll do the same thing with self-driving cars, right? Why wait for a permit?
The whole thing with Lyft and Uber is they've kind of operated in a gray area where, okay, well, that's the laws for taxis, but we're not taxis. Technically, yes. So they just kind of make up their own rules.
Right. But we are taxis. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is like, you know, so they came in total Wild West, right? They didn't come in at half the price of a taxi. They came in at 25% of the cost of a taxi ride, right? So there's no way you would take a taxi. Why would you?
Yeah, I don't know if it was quite that low, but they
They,
really did
they
undercut
no, they
all
did.
the
That was the
taxis.
first move. It was a fucking take them out at the knees move. First,
Yeah,
yep, and they
and they
did.
did.
And the first wave of revolt were taxi drivers. But, you know, they could have gone in at 50% of the cost, you know, and then they wouldn't be in such debt. But once again, we go back to what you just said. I think it was their business plan all along to get the driver out of the car. That it's not going to be that long before we don't need the driver.
Yeah, that's a scary thought because not only okay, not only did they take out a large portion of the
Yeah.
taxi cab industry, but there's a whole new generation of ride share riders that don't even bother to have vehicles. So now we could be transitioning in the near future into
Mhm.
a society that's driven around in empty cars, just passengers in the back seat, no one behind the wheel.
And I
That's
watched a
interesting.
documentary to that effect that was saying in the future, meaning by 2030, people are not going to own cars because it's not going to make sense. You can just get rides.
Right, and a lot of the personal vehicles will be electrics, like Teslas that have, you know, programmed self-driving or
But
automatic driving.
this doc was straight up saying, I forget what it is. Fuck, I wish I could remember. I'll try to research it and put it in the description as well. But it was basically saying that it's being phased out. Personal transport being phased out.
Yeah, I know that Tesla is big into that with personal vehicles, and Volvo for trucking, for
Yeah,
long haul
Volvo is a
truckers.
huge trucking company, and Tesla is trying to take a piece of that market.
Yeah, and I mean you can just imagine that, I suppose there's always going to need to be someone in the vehicle for UPS and USPS,
Well,
but
there
uh,
does there
you know,
really
they,
need to be somebody
well,
if you got a fucking self-driving truck and a drone?
yeah, I mean, it could be one of those, you get a text message, your UPS truck will be there in 10 minutes, please meet it on the curb. I mean, I would imagine that's pretty far in the future.
Dude,
Pretty far in the
I'm
future.
thinking it's even beyond that, and I'm thinking it's not, and I'm thinking it's within 5 years.
Well, yeah, I know in Silicon Valley they are doing small deliveries by drone.
Amazon wants to, in cities, Amazon within the next year, Amazon wants to be able to do 1 hour delivery. So that means drones everywhere.
It's interesting that you've mentioned Amazon and Uber and some of these, mega companies. Uh, it just seems like a lot of their interests are aligning
Oh,
around AI and robotics and phasing
yep,
out manual labor.
totally, bro. I'm so glad you went there. And Amazon now buying up Whole Foods, right? Tell me what you think, but I don't think I'm tripping. but I might be. But here's my take on this. It all encourages us to stay at home, stay alone, isolate, don't socialize. You don't need to see anybody. We'll bring it to you. Oh, no. You don't need to go outside and hail a taxi because you might talk to somebody. We'll just come and we'll come to your house and send you a text when we're there. And now with the fucking Amazon groceries, now you don't even have to go grocery shopping, dude. Your fucking groceries are delivered to your door. Right? And
Yeah.
that's a
No, stay home and
right.
stay on
And that's a
Facebook.
good opportunity to socialize and to meet your neighbors and right? Like, oh, hey Bob, how you doing? I see you eat organic too. Oh, interesting. But and I like what you said because I drove home from work today past the Marin Civic Center and there's this huge glaring neon billboard, stay home, stay safe, keep flattening the curve. I'm like, man, this feels like 1980 fucking 4. Like George Orwell, right? Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like you said with COVID, that's a whole separate thing, and
Yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast
exactly.
in itself. Yeah, it's a brilliant no, it was a brilliant idea and it really empowered a lot of people, but it's just a shame that for so many people it's kind of turning out to be a really flexible minimum
Well,
wage job.
exactly. So you just boom, you just hit the bullseye as far as what I was going to say. It's and that's what Uber was marketing with Proposition 22, with their yes on 22. We want to keep it flexible. Flexibility is the number one thing in driver surveys. Well, in the drivers that took your fucking survey, most of them probably didn't. I didn't. And B, money is the first thing. Flexibility is number two. Money. The only reason anybody is working for Uber is for money, right? So if and
Yeah,
I know you had our own personal mark where if I didn't, if I'm not making X per hour, I'm not going to do this. Is I was, I was only doing it to
right.
hustle.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, and in driving in Sonoma County especially, that means, at least for me, it was, nights, weekends, bar hours. That's really the only time that I could stay busy enough to justify, my
Right.
time.
I
And yeah, I mean, really strange hours if you want to keep busy, if you want to work that 5 a.m. shift or that, 8 p.m. shift. It's really, that the meaty part of the 9 to 5 day is probably less than minimum wage up here anyways.
there's no money in it up here at all. I tried it, and exactly, you nailed it. The money hours are 5 a.m. till 7 or 8. People going to work, going to the airport, and then bar hours. And so that makes for a fucked up, weird, you work in the morning, you got the whole afternoon off, you work at night. Um, or I ended up driving to San Francisco. So I would drive an hour to go drive. Right?
Right, and you have a bunch of other Lyft and Uber drivers pinging around San Francisco from, like you said, up here or even farther away from the Sacramento area, commuting in to work from the Central Valley.
Dude, I watched a thing
Uh,
on some news channel, I don't know, ABC, something like that. This chick was coming in from, I think it was Merced. So that's like 2+ hours out. And and she would come in for the week, dude, and live in her car.
Man, that's tough.
Right?
Yeah, this is yeah, at that point in time when you kind of add everything up, would you be better off just getting a job at Target,
Oh my
you know?
God.
Being local.
4-hour commute, dude, and then living in your car. So let me just talk to that for a minute, right? So after watching this news story, I figured I could man up instead of commuting all the way to San Francisco. I figured at least for the weekend, I could, stay over Friday night and then boom, I'm at it Saturday and I wouldn't have to drive an hour, right? Because what's the point of driving an hour to go home,
Powering off.
just to go to sleep, drive an hour back just to go to work, right? That was my logic. So I tried it, and I tried finding a quiet place to sleep in San Francisco in my car, and it was fucking impossible. It was horrible. It was the worst night's sleep ever. It was uncomfortable as hell. There's too much light. Even in the darkest place I could find, there's still too much light. It was brutal.
Yeah, no, it's depressing to think that, working men and women have to sleep in a Safeway parking lot.
Yeah. Right?
But that's interesting. So yeah, like you said, you mentioned Prop 22 that failed in California. Um, and we're a pretty progressive state. I wonder if that's going to be the first domino,
Well, no,
or
no,
how they're going to
no, it
react.
won. So Prop 22 passed, meaning the drivers lost.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. The Uber backed Prop
People
22
voted for
won.
Uber over the drivers.
Exactly. But I mean, they put such heavy money into that campaign. I think it was over 200 million.
Everybody I've talked to,
They passed.
said they thought voting for it was good for the drivers.
I mean, they did such a good. Their ad campaign was just
Dude, they
everywhere.
spent 200 million. Yeah. 200 million.
Yeah,
Not just them, but DoorDash, Post, every single fucking one of those, you know, what do you call it? Gig companies
right.
spent money to defeat Prop 22, or to make it
Exactly.
pass, rather.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that's going to nullify the AB law that was passed earlier
It
in the
doesn't
year,
nullify it,
making us technically
but once
employees.
again,
Yeah,
what's the MO? Fuck them. You come at us with fines. So, right? And the government's doing nothing. So
yeah,
this just shows how little rather our fucking elected officials give a fuck about us, right? They're not fighting for us at all. They're bending to corporations on this one.
well, yeah, the AB laws that passed did seem like it was that they seemed well intended. Maybe they were too broad. I think I kind of, maybe that's just because I'm a, Uber Lyft driver. I kind of saw it as an Uber
I
Lyft
I
bill. I didn't even
It should
consider
have
all
been
the,
an Uber Lyft or a gig company, but
yeah, they should have left out the freelance. Yeah, yeah, leave out the freelance photographers and journalists, and and I didn't even know that a lot of people in the construction industry were independent contractors. I didn't even know
so
that.
it fucked a lot of little people like that. Your independent contractor, your photographer, your band person. Bands, every band is an independent contractor, right?
Right, musicians.
And so it fucked musicians, like professional musicians and semi-pro and people on the way up, on the come up. And we want to help. We want to help
Right.
those people. Fuck. So it screwed those people, and then Uber got its wish in the end. Anyway, like wow. So our
Yeah.
politicians failed.
Yeah, they could have sussed that out a lot better. But then, yeah, like you said, Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, and they were right there, Johnny on the spot with a ballot
Yeah.
measure.
But anyway, so that's the political side of it, right? You know, um, Uber's got billions of dollars. They can do whatever they want. They can kibosh anything. They've got the city council people
While losing money.
while losing billions. We're not talking dollars, billions of dollars. This is crazy. I was amazed. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and now that's mostly private money because they're not public yet, or are they? But they've been private for most of their existence, if
I
not
think
all.
they just came public last year.
Yeah.
So 1 year. But yeah, so that paints the history, right? So that gives us a foundation for our conversation. So now let's get into some dirt. Tell me some stories. Do you have any that come to the top of your head?
Well, I mean, yeah, one ride is just indelibly etched into my mind forever. And that was the first time someone vomited in my
I would
car.
love to hear the whole story.
I don't think, yeah, the sights and smells, they're just in there. Anyways, yeah, just literally. Okay, so I picked up a couple. There were actually two brothers and then their wives at a fancy restaurant in Healdsburg, and I'm driving them home. They both lived in the same subdivision in Windsor, and we're just to get off the freeway in Windsor, and I can tell the guy in the front seat who was really talkative the whole ride. He had gotten kind of quiet. And kind of I should have been more. I would have been more tuned in, but I was only been driving for a couple of months. So he got quiet and kind of making some weird nasally sounds, like he was kind of holding down a sneeze or something. We pull off the freeway. The ride must have shook him up, because just about a mile or two from their house, he just sprayed my dashboard. I mean, it came out of his mouth, his nose. It was whatever, wine and pasta. I mean, it was just like a fresh meal.
The dashboard, bro?
He sprayed the dashboard. I remember he got out. I think he took his shirt off at one point in time. I can just remember him walking home hand in hand with his wife. He's shirtless. I don't know if he used some of the shirt to, clean himself up, or yeah, that was shocking to me. I mean, I thought it was kind of a joke that happened.
Yeah, that's why.
But come to find out, that's very real, and I've had vomit bags in my car ever since, and I've had a pretty clean record since then. I'm always willing to pull over for people and give them as much time as they need, and preempt them with bags, and hey, you doing all right back there, all that.
I got a good puke story for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Did I tell you when I picked up? It was kind of sketch from the get-go. I might have told you this one. It was kind of sketch from the get-go, because I get this call, and the fucked up thing for people who don't know, when you get a call as an Uber driver, you don't know where the person's going. So you get a call that somebody needs a ride. So
Right. You get their
that's it.
That's it.
So I don't know where this motherfucker's going. So I show up and this guy runs out and he's like, "Hey, wait just a minute. My friend will be right out." And then he goes, "But my friend doesn't have a phone. So here's the address." And it's in Sacramento.
Oh, his buddy called him an Uber.
Right? Which is against the fucking, so I could have canceled right there, right? Because that's against the rules. It has to be your Uber. You're not supposed to use somebody else's Uber, right? But I figured, what the fuck? So I take the ride and because I figured, it's probably going to be $120 ride, right? At least.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good yeah.
And I had nothing going on. I was just out to make some money that night. So what the hell? But it got weird. So the guy takes his shoes off and then he's like kind of like passing out, but he's got this Arizona iced tea in his hand. And I'm like worried that he's gonna spill, like pass out and spill half of it. So I'm like, "Hey man, can you just hey, you can put that right here, you know?" And so he did. But then he kicked his shoes off, and I thought that was weird. And then he fully passes out. And so we get to Sacramento, and I'm like, "Hey man, wake wake up, where are we going?" Turns out we're going to his friend's house, another friend's house. So I'm like, is this guy like straight off the boat and he doesn't even have a place? He's going from one friend's house to another friend's house. And he directs me into this apartment complex, but the person isn't there. So then he wants to go to the Denny's and wait for the person. And then I turn the light on, dude,
Yeah, no
and
phone.
he's got a fucking
Jeez.
crack pipe laying on his belly.
Oh man, what a
He
sketchy
was
ride.
so high out of his head that I grabbed the crack pipe really quick and threw it out the window, and I don't think he even saw it.
Yeah, he was just gacked out of his mind.
So then,
that reminds
I'm building up to
go
my
ahead.
puke story. So then I figure, well, fuck, here I am up in way north of Sacramento. I might as well try to get a few rides on the way back, right? So I'm not just fucking dead in the water. And I did. I got a bunch of rides in Sac. And this fucking one chick almost puked in my car. And I hear her fucking doing what you were talking about. And I just fucking pull over. And I'm like, open the door, open the door, open the door. She opens the door and major like fire hose projectile vomiting, dude. It was like, oh my God, thank God I fucking knew to pull over.
Yeah, that was that guy, man. His head's in the back of the seat and the puke is just spraying like The Exorcist.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me. I remember the first time someone passed out in my car, and it was scary. I thought this kid was dead.
Really?
I picked him up from a house. He staggers in, just reeking of like weed, alcohol, you name it. Young guy. And I'm kind of taking him to this country address out on Sonoma Mountain. He passes out on 101. I'm shaking him. I don't know if he's alive or dead. His head goes from, being upright on the headrest to like down at his, like at his waist. He's kind of, I mean, he's just way out. And then right when we get to about his house, he just, boom, he comes to. I go, hey, there you are. I could see his eyes open and he's kind of like, hey, we're almost to my house. And he couldn't tell me which house was his. I go, hey man, I know you're a little tipsy. I want to get you home safe. And he goes, hey, anywhere's good. And we're out in the country, like far spread out addresses. And I'm going, well, I know anywhere's good for you, but why don't I just at least get you to your driveway, your gate, something? He goes, okay, okay. And then we're kind of driving, and it's a kind of the numbers are out of order, the addresses. And he goes, you know what? I actually own this whole hill. All these are mine. And I'm going, what?
What?
He goes, yeah. Every one of these gates that we've passed is mine. My grandfather bought half of this mountain 50 years ago or something, and they're all mine. And I'm just going, I'm like, well, that could be plausible, but the guy's, he's passed out drunk, high as a kite.
Could be true.
And finally we just kind of were winding up the mountain. I said, okay, you let me know. And I let him out, and he staggered out, and that's Uber for you. I mean, on to the next.
So you didn't even see him walk in a door?
No, I didn't see him walk in the door. I don't even know if he got through and these gates were like big private walls that had, just, key in pads, to get you in. It was a trip. And when he said that he owned half the mountain, or that it was his family.
And he might have. I mean, he might have more power to him, but like as a driver, dude, just tell me where to drop you off.
It was the craziest ride. The passing out. I mean, it was like you said, it was a 2-for-1, just a really weird ride. And all this happened, like both these two stories were like probably my first 2 months on the job. So I was just, I'm like young, naive, wanting to save the world, get everyone like to their door. Now, if you would have said that, cool, man, I'll let you off here later,
Right.
After a while, it's like, cool, you got your thing, I got my thing. If you tell me you want out here, I can't hold you,
I'm losing you a little bit.
Oh, okay. How's that?
Better,
can you hear me now?
Much better.
Can you hear me now? Very good. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
A Verizon commercial.
Okay, I don't know. This has probably happened to you. I remember I picked a guy up in Santa Rosa and took him to the Epicenter gym where they had indoor soccer and stuff. And then that same night, I picked him up and dropped him off. So I've had at least one, multiple people on the same night. I gave the guy a ride twice in one night. That's happened at least once, if not more.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of like a small.
Oh, dude, is there any way you put your back to the kitchen?
Back to the kitchen.
That's just a little loud.
Getting an echo?
A little clank, clank.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you're looking at it, then it'll be like, you know what I mean? Then the phone won't pick it up.
Gotcha. Let me see. Okay, that should be more quiet.
Sweet. So, oh, sorry, what was that last one?
So I gave a guy a ride from his house to his soccer game, and then wound up picking him up from his soccer game or after his game, and he had drinks, and then driving him home. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well,
twice in
you're
one
the
night.
one that turned me on to like the whole Katati bar crawl thing. For those that don't know, we're in Sonoma County, and Katati, there's a university there, Sonoma State University, and the town of Katati has like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 bars in one block. So
yeah, and this is a town of maybe 10,000.
Maybe. So students go
Maybe.
that one block and they do what's called the bar crawl, and you can hit every bar and you don't have to walk very far.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen that I mean that place is bedlam at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You know that you don't have to go home, but you got to get out of here. Everyone's just packed on the sidewalks and
Yeah, well, you're the one that turned me on to that as a hotspot, and I thank you and I curse you in the same breath, because yes, it's a moneymaker, but oh my God, after going there twice, I fucking invested in vomit bags.
yeah, a lot of young people learning their limits with alcohol.
Or ignoring their limits.
Exactly. Testing the limits and just blowing past the speed.
Dude,
yeah.
Where's that stop sign? Plop!
Oh, and the Katati crawl is notorious for, you know, you go, you pick someone up, maybe a young person flags you down, and then you get a dude hopping in your front seat and like 4 or 5 chicks trying to slam in the back seat.
Right.
How many times does that happen?
Every time. What do you mean?
Oh.
Come on, we're only going 4 miles. Come on. Like, dude,
Yeah.
It's not your ticket.
Only in Katati does that happen. Oh, I shouldn't say only, but just about only in Katati.
That happened to me in Petaluma and in San Francisco and in Healdsburg.
I will say the people in San Francisco, I mean, it's kind of a cold Uber experience, but they get in, they get out. I've never had someone do that to me.
No drama, right? Because they get it. They get the rules, right?
Yeah, like those people they're ready for self-driving cars. They're totally ready for the automated experience.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't want to fucking talk to you anyway. As is proven.
Exactly.
Like, and it makes it so weird. Like, how weird is that when somebody gets in your personal vehicle and doesn't at least say, like, hey, bro?
Yeah, no, and yeah, and a lot of times they're on their own little cell phone with their headphones. They're doing their own thing. I mean, it's like you're not even there.
Not even there. And sometimes,
I mean, they're taking.
Sorry, what's that?
Yeah, it's like they're taking transit.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just their limo that showed up.
Yeah, you're a bus driver, you're a limo driver, precisely.
Right? But like, the worst one, dude, check this out. This will blow your mind. So I picked these people up in Menlo Park, right? So high tech central. And they're talking kind of like in code language about what they're doing. So like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but they're talking and like in depth. And it was weird. And then they start releasing a little bit of shit. So like, it's a new fucking startup tech company that's going to compete with Uber, and they're going to bury Uber. And they're going to have Honda passports that are painted flat black and that are powered by, check this out. This blew my fucking mind, dude. So they're looking for real estate in San Francisco and other urban places where they have a skyscraper with a parking lot next to it, so that they can have a Tesla rod on the top of the skyscraper, and that can take in fucking megawatts, and then it can disperse it wirelessly to charge all the cars in the fucking parking lot.
Oh, so that charges the fleet at night.
Like, not even at night, dude, like in an hour and a half. But yeah, at night. Yeah.
Sure. Right.
But mind blow, right?
Yeah,
they're talking Tesla power, dude.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of the really cool tech and even like Lyft and Uber are brilliant ideas. It's basically you hail a cab with an app on your phone, which is brilliant. It finds you the closest one, so it's moving around fast, it's saving you time, it's saving your driver time. I mean, they're all really great ideas, but at what cost? It's such a double-edged sword, the technology that's so cool and so helpful to humans, hurts and pushes out uh, you know, workers and yeah, it's a changing world.
Rapidly changing world, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because that merges with the Amazon shopper, right? Like, oh, now we don't need, so Amazon's goal is to have everything have one of those RFID tags, right? One of those scanner tag that they use for theft now, right? So if you walk out with it, it'll go bloop, 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 right? But they're going to
Right.
use them different. They're going to use them to charge you for it. So the whole thing's different. So every product will have one of those in a grocery store, and you just scan your card when you walk in, and you just walk out with your shit, and there's no checker.
Right. So you'll just have a cart full of food, and then maybe, as you're walking through the walkout lane, it'll scan everything in your cart. You'll put your card up and it'll just, you
Right.
know, charge you for your food that way. Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
You're going to bag your own shit. Exactly.
It's already, I already do self-checkout most of the time anyways when I do go to the grocery
Really?
store.
Please don't do that.
Well, a lot of times it's faster.
Bro. But,
And a lot of times I just
but,
have a few
but
items
dude,
and
that's just sealing the deal. That's like, there goes your job, bitch. Fuck you.
yeah.
It
Well,
is.
I'm just saying we're already kind of
I
halfway
know,
there.
but we gotta fight it a little bit, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't used to like it, and then I don't know, it's yeah, it's one of those
And then
things.
and in the name of COVID, dude, you don't want to be touching that thing, because all these people are touching that thing. It's much better to have one person touch all your shit.
Yeah. And obviously I don't remember it, but I'd imagine 50 years ago it was pretty normal to have someone pump your gas, check the oil, uh, you know, put some air in your tires, that kind of thing for when you
Fuck yeah.
stopped in at a gas station.
To this day,
Check the gas station. Yeah, exactly.
to this day in Oregon, you still can't pump your own gas.
Right. And with that comes someone that, hey, you want me to check the oil? You want me to check the fluids? You want me to check your tire pressure? You want me to wash your window? Real service.
Yeah. And it's a law in Oregon that you cannot pump your own gas.
Yeah. That's got to be one of the few states that still have that law, I would think.
I don't think any state ever had it. Like, they just used to have, everybody just used to do it, but Oregon's like, no, fuck no, we're not going to let that go away. So they made it a law, dude. So it's a trip. Like I'm trying to pump my own gas, and they're like, dude. I was like, oh, okay. I get it.
Now, because you live there. Now, what would be the scenario for like a big city gas station with like 12 pumps? Would you just have a few people working it and then they would just pump it and then go to another car while it's pumping, or how
Oh
would that
yeah.
work?
One guy can set 3 cars, four, six cars going. They have huge gas stations in Oregon. Truck stops even.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's jobs, man. It's jobs.
there's only one place in town here that I can think of that still has a full service gas station, and that's the Keep and Don 76 on 4th Street.
And dude, these jobs only pay fucking like 8 something bucks an hour.
Right.
Can you
Right. And I think the gas,
can you believe the federal minimum wage is still $7.25?
yeah, that is just way too low, especially yeah, it's yeah, that's just ridiculously low.
Where I don't I don't know. Is there a place in Virginia that you can live on 7.25? Because you sure as fuck can't do it here.
Oh, no way. You know, yeah, it's a problem. And then, you have a lot of the low paying jobs, you know, pretty much it's a way of life to be working at Walmart and be on food stamps. I mean, that's just you and the rest of your coworkers, right? Full-time workers.
Right?
It's
And the
sad.
majority of Walmart workers, have you ever seen the movie Walmart, The High Cost of Low Prices?
I don't think I've ever seen it, but I've seen the movie. I'm familiar with the movie. I know it's out there.
Oh, it's great. So, what it points out is that 50% or more of Walmart workers are on food stamps. And so they have a full-time job, but they're on food stamps.
Yeah, over half their labor force qualifies for public assistance.
And we're talking about Walmart, the Walton family. They're the third richest family in the country. So in the Walton family, I think there's 4 billionaires which are each worth like 60 to 100 billion each, running this company. But they can't pay their workers enough to keep them off of fucking food stamps.
Yeah, it's sad.
And that's the whole problem with this country, dude, is Uber, right? Trying to make fucking billions, but they're losing billions, right? So they're trying to sell this dream. They're fucking up all kinds of people's work, all kinds of people's money, and they're losing billions of dollars every year. So you're a failure. You're a total failure. But people look at that like, oh fuck. And then that sparked on all these other companies. Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, fucking on and on and on and on and on and on, right? Amazon. I see Amazon vans fucking everywhere.
Yeah. No, I kind of had a light bulb moment talking to you earlier, and I think that I don't know if it started this way, probably not, but I think the end game right now has got to be autonomous driving vehicles for them.
Yeah.
I got to be thinking that they're thinking, I don't know if it's 5 years out, 10 years out, 15, but
For all,
I think that if you said,
I'm sorry, go.
yeah, if you were to ask, no, I think if you were to ask Uber and Lyft, the kind of like, where do you see yourself in 10 years question, I think that's probably what you'd get if they were to answer truthfully.
Yeah, and I think everybody's looking at that. I think UPS, FedEx, I think everybody's looking at that like, oh man. And so guess what? Five not 5%, 20%, 1/5 of all jobs are driving jobs. Right?
Yeah.
And these
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the bread trucks and the Pepsi guys that go in and stock the stores and go from Safeway to Safeway and supermarket to store,
all that, bro. So
You know, I mean, everything in a Walmart got there on a truck.
yeah, thank you. And guess what? That used to be, currently is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs, thousands. For the state of California, where we are 30 million, 40 million people, 1/5 of those driving jobs, dude. So what's 1/5 of 40 million? That's fucking that's 8 million people are at risk of
Sounds about
losing
right.
their job.
So, and that's where I think a concept like universal basic income, it really seems like it might be imminent, because you can't retrain 8 million people that quickly.
You can't. With no setup to do it. There's no infrastructure, right? What do we have? We don't have a fucking apprenticeship program set up.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these people, like, yeah, I mean, if you're a long line trucker and have been for most of your life, I mean, it's going to take you a while to get the training and schooling necessary to join a 21st century, you know, computer-based economy.
You know, and then so this kind of makes me want to talk about the Green New Deal, but we can't go too deep into that. But what that's all about is training people who are in outdated industries to have good paying jobs in industries that are coming up, like fucking, I don't even know, like fucking solar and fucking whatever.
Right, turning coal miners into people that make solar and what have you.
Exactly, shit like that. And
Right.
and I'm not an authority on that by any means, but that's a fucking great example. And Obama, I'm not an Obama fan by any means, but Obama had a program where he was transitioning. He would train. There was a paid program for people to study, to transition from being a coal miner to a solar installer. Right? And solar installers make good fucking money. Like, around here they make $40 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's seemingly a win-win. Who wouldn't want to, swap their 9 to 5 from a coal mine to a wind farm or something cool like that?
Right?
I know I would. If that's really hard work.
And you're still doing
very
hard work, but it's not nearly as toxic for you and your family or the environment.
Right. Right, you're not at risk for emphysema and a lot of the other really nasty things that can come with some of those dirty jobs.
Thank you, because as soon as you go underground and start fucking banging rock, dude, you're breathing that shit.
Yeah, and it's not just the people that mine coal. I mean, it's everyone in the town that it affects. I mean, the pollution.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not just limited to the workers.
Oh no, and it pollutes waterways.
Yeah. Wow, look how far we've come. And
Yeah, so let's reel this back to some fucking Uber shit. I've got a couple nightmare ones. So one of the ones that made me quit driving full time was this motherfucker that got in my car. Okay, so there were those high tech. This happened within a week. Those high tech people jumped in, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna redo the whole fucking thing. We're gonna fucking use like the original Tesla, not Tesla the company, not Elon Musk, but Nikola Tesla technology to capture hyper amounts of electricity from the tops of fucking skyscrapers and then transmit that down to power a fleet of cars in a fucking fraction of what it would take, or currently, and thereby revolutionizing the industry overnight. So they're on that path. And then and then she was going to visit a friend, this chick. She called her friend, and she's like, and then she was talking to the person in the car next to her. Of course, I'm invisible, right? So I just don't even exist in any of this, right? I'm the help. And but she talks to her friend, and she's like, oh, my friend, whatever, is working on this project in Berkeley to try to start basically a high-rise mouse farm to breed mice on a hyper level. So basically creating a high-rise apartment complex for mice, with the goal of making a mouse food that is based in mouse meat. Or I'm sorry, a cat food that is based in mouse meat. Like, isn't that crazy?
That's wild. Yeah, I can't see that being too profitable, because I mean, what does a mouse weigh?
I don't know.
I mean, just a few
Dude,
ounces. Yeah,
what is
not much meat on that one.
what does a cow weigh before you fucking pump it full of fucking corn?
Yeah, these could be mutant mice. They could be like New York City rats.
Oh yeah, dude. They might be like 1 pound mice.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Well, that does sound like a.
Sorry, go.
No, that just sounds like a weird idea.
Right? So it made me think of horror films and shit like that. Like, oh my God, so there's all these high-tech people working on all these crazy brainiac ideas that are basically putting people out of jobs.
Yeah, it's well, like you said, it's rapidly evolving.
So I think you're right. I think the only way out is some UVA. I mean, how else do you go?
Honestly, I really don't see, because I mean, you can only retrain so many people so quickly. And I think a lot of people that have been working in, certain industries their whole life, it's just gonna take a lot of time to to retrain them into new high-tech industries. I could be wrong, but
I don't think you're wrong.
but I will say that, yeah, I mean, for everything that for all the good and the bad you can say about Uber, I definitely I'm grateful to have been able to do it, and I certainly did have some good experiences.
Well, but you and I got to do it. Well, I think you and I got to do it at the tail end of when you could make some money. So
Yeah, 2016 was when I started.
really,
Yeah, and then I think we pretty much got going right around the same time.
yeah. But like, it'll be interesting to see what 20, what the proposition has to do with the earnings, how it correlates.
Yeah, I'm kind of still a little bit unclear as far as just what the benefits will be. I know that the campaign advertisements for Prop 22 made mention of healthcare, things like that. I haven't heard of anything healthcare related being offered by Lyft or
No.
Uber. And anything that they did offer probably wouldn't be something that would be something I'd be interested, honestly.
I can only imagine them
I don't think it
offering
would be
something like, a share, which they should have done from the get, right? Which they should have offered like a buy-in program. Like, we're not paying jack shit, but we're gonna leverage so that you get it cheaper because we got fucking X billion, X million drivers. So do you want these drivers in your healthcare program or not? Okay, give them a good rate.
yeah, like access to an already existing HMO that's
Right.
already
But they never did that.
that
But they never
yeah.
advocated like that for us, did they?
No. But yeah, so well, yeah, and it's just so scattered. Like I don't think we've talked about it yet tonight about all the things that prevented people from unionizing. I mean, you're one of the few Uber and Lyft drivers that I know. Unlike most other jobs, you can kind of talk with your coworkers, commiserate, and problem solve on that level. You can't really do that with Uber and Lyft because we're all just spread out doing our
Right.
own thing.
Unless you go to the airport parking lot.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, every now and again, a busy night, downtown hotspot, I'll, always wave to another guy or whatever, or another driver. But yeah, it's tough.
I almost got in a fist fight with a driver at San Francisco International.
How did he try to copy a
Well,
fare?
no,
What
I
happened?
didn't know. I should change that. I didn't almost get in a fist fight with him. He wanted to fight me. I should rephrase it. But
Oh,
yeah,
geez,
but
what
I didn't
happened?
get out of my car. So like, I was like, dude, you need to chill. I don't know. He just lost his fucking shit, you know. But too many hours in a car will do that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. You can drive for 12 hours and then you need 12 hours on, 8 hours off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, if you're multi-platforming, which most people are, it's just scary to think of people putting in 20-hour days.
Right. And let me break that down for people who don't know what you're talking about. Multi-platforming. So anybody that makes money driving has Uber and Lyft going at the same time, right?
Or at least you have the capability to.
And so in San Francisco, I would run, I'd run both of them, but 75% of my rides would come from Uber, right? So I'm driving most of the time, 75% of the time for Uber. So I could drive 12 hours for Uber, time out on Uber, but then I could still have a fuck ton of hours left on Lyft, right?
Yeah, you could conceivably drive 8 hours for Lyft and then be allowed back on Uber's platform.
You could hypothetically be doing speed because they don't drug test. They don't drug test. And they shouldn't drug test for weed, let me tell you, because that's the only reason that I didn't kill like 5 passengers is because I smoked a little bit of weed to calm myself down. But or take an edible here and there. But hypothetically, people could do a bunch of speed and stay up and be driving both platforms, ping, 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 ping. Like, oh my God, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you wonder if that is happening. People, commuting from Stockton, Sacramento into the Bay. And, if it's going well, prices are surging. I mean, maybe they do take a bump to stay on the road.
Yeah. And the fucked up thing, dude, is
You never
is
know.
is speed and coke go out of your system really quick, right? As far as drug tests go. But pot stays in your system for a long time. And pot chills you out and helps you drive slower, safer, no road rage. What's your experience?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, ideally, you would just be driving, you know, clear-headed and totally substance
Totally.
free, um, but yeah, I mean, it's totally, the harder the drug, the harsher the drug, the scarier it is to think of someone being behind the wheel and having people's lives in their
Yeah, let
hands,
me pull
literally.
back. I'm not condoning anybody driving high on anything. Yeah, clear headed's the way to go. But holy shit.
But yeah, I mean, if you were to choose one over the other, yeah, I think the choice is pretty clear.
So let's talk Halloween. What's the craziest Halloween shit you've seen?
Um, Trying to think. This would have been a great Halloween. It Okay, so this one that was just a little less than a month ago was a Saturday night. It was Halloween and it was a full moon, and because of COVID, it was just a total non-Uber night.
Just a,
That would have been amazing, and it wasn't raining, so everyone would have been going out and
you know,
dressing up. So that would have been a huge night. But I know that I've Ubered a couple Halloweens and they were, busy but fairly mellow. I'd say I've had some really big nights on that night before
no,
Thanksgiving, that Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. Those are crazy nights, like almost up there
no,
with New Year's, because there's a lot less drivers on the road.
no shit. Everybody's going out because they're stressed about hanging out with the family or what?
I heard through the grapevine that it was a huge bar night, and as an Uber and Lyft driver, I found out that it is a huge night. It is a huge bar night.
That seems
The night.
to me that seems really weird. I don't know. Like I mean, like wow.
Yeah, I mean, some of my biggest nights have been on that night. The 4th of July is just a big day. Plus, I think that's another thing. 4th of July is when I think a lot of Uber drivers are chilling, watching fireworks, spending time with their family. So was just ridiculously busy on the 4th. Because let's not forget, I mean, it's a labor market that's kind of random.
Oh, way random.
It's not like, hey, it's the 4th, we're going to have all our employees working tonight. It's like, no, I mean, whoever decides to drive that night is driving, and whoever decides to just chill and drink and spend time with their family is going to be off the road and taking Ubers.
Right. So for those that choose to work on those holidays like that, they rake it in. You're right. Because I've done that. I'm a
Yeah,
single
and
guy, so I've done that, and I've worked on Thanksgiving. I've worked on Christmas, and you make money, and you get sympathy tips.
oh, the holidays are the best, man. The Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, that is just and yeah, it's a magical time to be an Uber driver. You're hustling, you're making good money, you're getting some cool holiday tips you never see any other time of the year. That 1 week between
Oh
Christmas and New
shit! What
Year's.
happened? What happened? Are you moving
What
around?
happened?
Um, Whoa,
Yep,
better
way
now?
better.
Yeah, I know my
No,
battery's running low, so maybe be
movement
mindful of
like
that.
got all loud for a minute. We're good
Gotcha.
now.
We're good
So
now.
what's your worst horror story, bro?
But Worst horror story. I mean, I've had some pretty drunk people that were. I had this guy that had just got kicked out of the nutty, and he was in a really foul mood. Worst horror stories. I don't know. I definitely picked this one guy up who was really annoying. This is how the ride went. I pick him up sometime between, I don't know, maybe around 1 a.m. Pick him up at his house. Hey, I got to make a quick stop. It's at an ATM. And then we go to a hotel, which is the Flamingo Hotel. He goes, hey, I got to run in and drop something off or pick something up. You know, he's just doing a Coke buy, something like that. I could tell the guy was way high. And he's like totally annoying me the whole time, just spouting random, cokehead BS stuff. Meets up with his buddy or dealer, whatever. And then I take him back to his house, but man, he was just the worst. Just a weird delusional drug addict guy.
That's brutal. That's
Um,
brutal. I got one for you.
what do you got?
So this guy, remember when they had quotas or whatever? So I was right about to hit my do 40 rides and get $280, right?
Oh yeah, you were just about to fulfill your quest.
Thank you. Quest. I was right about to fucking ping my quest. I needed 4 more rides, dude. So I'm in downtown San Francisco on Market Street. I'm like, I'm gonna go get fucked, right? Where are the people? My first fucking ride is this guy going to Modesto. And let me repeat for listeners who don't know, as an Uber driver, you don't know where the motherfucker's going. It just tells you go pick him up. So I did. And god damn it. I ended up out in Modesto. 2:30 in the morning.
I've been out there Ubering. That's what I've never gone that far.
Tule fog. I'm driving 25 miles an hour because I can't see the fucking road.
Brutal.
So talk about that ended up being like $5 an hour, dude. And then I gotta go home. And I'm like, fuck.
Oh, and you're not gonna get a ride along the way there, even in destination mode. Good luck.
No fucking way, dude.
Not a good time of night.
So exactly. So and there's no fucking radio stations. Didn't have any CDs. So nothing, dude. 25 miles an hour because you can't see jack shit because the fucking Thule fog. All the way to fucking where 4 meets 80. Then I connected from that to Highway 12 and took Highway 12 in. And the whole way, dude, I'm thinking, fuck, I'm going to hit a deer. Fuck, I'm going to hit a deer. I'm going to hit a deer. Right? The whole way, I'm thinking, I'm going to fucking hit something. That's just my luck, right? I'm Irish. But I didn't. I made it home. But holy shit, dude, I almost made my quest, and this motherfucker took me to bumfuck Egypt. Talk on that.
Yeah, that's the icing on the cake.
Right?
That's brutal. Yeah. God, I've had some bad rides. It's hard to just distill it down to one, or I'm trying to think. it had to be, some of my worst rides had to be when the passengers were just fighting and yelling and being loud, belligerent, angry, drunk, you know, just like passengers from
Yeah,
hell
I
in
like
that
to
way.
drink, but drunk passengers are the fucking worst.
Yeah, and I've had a few. I mean, God, oh man, yeah, people are just,
I told you
yeah,
about the I
just so
told you
oblivious.
about those chicks I kicked out, right?
You did,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a good one. Let me tell that one. Um, so I didn't know you could kick people out of your car as an Uber driver. And when I learned that, I'm like, oh my God, thank God you could do this. And then I get these people that are just so drunk, picked them up at fucking Lagunitas. They're so hammered already, and they're going to the Silver Dollar in Larkspur on a Sunday at 4 p.m. And the fucking freeway is like a parking lot, right? So I tell them, I'm like, hey, I'll try, I'll see if I can get us through back roads, past the traffic, but if not, we might be screwed. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I mean, we might not be able to get there, and you might have to hang out for like a couple hours till 6 p.m. till the traffic dies, because it's Sunday in the Nevada Narrows, right? Like, hello. And they just were not hearing that. And so they started calling in to report me. And I'm listening to this. So as I'm hearing them call in to report me, I just pulled over and kicked them out. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's at least a half a dozen rides I should have just ended on the definitely mid ride, but it's just, man, it's
It's
awkward. It
it's
is really
so
awkward.
awkward.
I mean, people, I don't know, people listening can't understand. I mean, you pick up a stranger, you realize you need to terminate the ride. They're angry, drunk, belligerent, something's not working out. I mean, it's usually, one against one, or, you might have to kick out two, three, four passengers, or maybe it's just one or two passengers that are the problem, and one or two passengers are okay. And they're just kind of like, hey, drive, my friend's drunk, keep driving, whatever. I mean, it's just, man, it's really, really tough. And there's no manual or guidebook to, tell you how to
There's
proceed.
nobody to help you with
And
it,
it's
bro.
all,
And
yeah, and there's no one you can call like Uber support. I mean, it's just you making a judgment call, and I mean, either way, it's ending badly at that point. It's just the ride from hell that you just, take it to the door, or you end it early,
yeah, and
whatever.
I've done both, man. I've brought super like passed out drunk chicks to their fucking, well, where they told me. And the smart ones, like, they always give a false address so that you drop them off like a block away or half a block away or whatever. But I've had chicks just passed out drunk in my car where I'm like having to hit the brakes repeatedly to like wake them up. Like, girl, hey, hello, we're here.
Yeah, I had oh God, this was interesting. I remember I picked this lady up from the whiskey tip, and she barely got in my car. I think a bartender, because I think I picked her up right at closing. I think someone helped her into my car. I helped her get her
Oh
seatbelt on.
shit.
What's up? Yeah, right, exactly. And then and then we head out to Sebastopol, and it's a super country address. Addresses are out of order. Can't really see addresses, mailboxes, that kind of thing. I say, hey, where are we going? She goes, oh, I don't really know. Just we're going to the address on the phone. I'm like, well, I don't see it, and I've been driving up and down the street 2 or 3 times. Can you help me? Can you call someone? Like, can you give me a landmark? What's going on?
Yeah.
Her phone, I think her phone had died at that point, and she's just super incoherent. I wound up taking her back into Sebastopol, dropping her off at the Lucky Star. She staggers out. I hope she made it home okay. I think she may have wet herself in the back of my car. There was definitely a wet spot where she was sitting.
Seriously?
Very serious. Yeah. Oh, and yeah. I think at one point in time when we were searching for that house out in the middle of the country, she got out to look around to see if something looked familiar, and she opened the door and just fell out like a pancake.
Oh my God.
On the pavement. I helped her. Yeah, it was a real mess.
That's what you call a hot mess?
Oh my, yeah, you have no idea.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. That's so.
Yeah, but I did get a cleaning fee for that one, so that was good.
What do they give you? Like $250?
At least I got that. Oh, not even. I think I've only requested 2 cleaning fees, and I know I got less than 100 both times. I think I got like 40 and 80 or 50 and 80 bucks, something like that. I took pictures, described smells, everything that they make you go through, check all the boxes. And
Wow. So like future, like if I could tell myself or whatever, for people listening, note to self, if you're going to drive Uber, don't get a cloth seated car that absorbs shit. Get like vinyl, fake leather or leather.
totally. Yeah, or get some really all-weather mats are a plus.
Yeah. Cover your shit because people are going to piss or puke on it.
Yeah, invest in. Look at it as an investment.
Exactly. So brutal. So you reminded me of one. Shit. No, I forgot. Oh, I had a good one too. Oh man. Where'd she go?
What about some cool rides or some cool things that have happened? I remember one night I gave this guy a ride, a pretty long ride. It was from like Petaluma to Napa. And I remember he had a big pit bull with him, and it was his companion animal. And we got to talking, and he had spent a few years behind bars for, I forget the total, but I mean, he had like a bunch of magic mushrooms, and I guess he traveled, I think, with the Grateful Dead or Fish or one of those bands, and he was kind of like, he did art, and that was kind of his gig. But he had gotten busted, and he did some hard time in prison. And then I think and he was a nice guy. And anyways, I give him a ride, drop him off, his dog gets out, whatever. And then a couple riders later, I pick this guy up and we get to talking, and I'm like, hey, so what do you do? And he was a correctional officer. And I'm like, that's a trip, because I usually don't talk to people about what they do or where they've been, if they've been done time or whatever. It's not stuff I ask about. But I thought it was so ironic that just in the course of one evening that I gave, one guy that had done time, and then so I mean, you see people from all walks of life. I mean, rich, poor, young, old, people who are, not really tech savvy, taking their first Uber ride or whatever. You see it all.
Absolutely, man. I think you just nailed the ultimate, comparison.
Totally. Can't we all get along? Yeah, totally.
But No, I mean, I
Uh,
you know, a lot of customers have been very, very cool. So I don't want people to take that the wrong way.
yeah, no, it is it's a very cool service. You know, and how it goes in the future, it's going to be interesting. It's definitely. Um,
Yeah, and I think you know, as long as everybody's respectful, it's a cool thing. And Uber just needs to fucking pay, but apparently they can't pay because they're losing money. So where does that leave us?
yeah, man, I don't know. You would think that with them getting 25% of all the fares, you would think that would cover their technology costs and, you know, whatever else.
Yeah, they got to be spending a fuck ton on advertising or something.
Yeah.
Or CEO salaries, I don't
You
know.
know, and I mean, I don't understand how the corporate world works, and if maybe some of their losses or things are write-offs. I don't understand. I'm just really clueless. I really don't. I genuinely don't. I just, it's above my head, you
Yeah.
know, above my pay grade.
But I don't know. I think we fucking nailed it out of the park here. I think, you know, got Gabe Cut on the line, and we're gonna cut it up talking about some Uber. What's happening, Gabe?
Hey,
Good to
be
have
here.
you, man. So Gabe turned me on to a couple clips here on online um, about police entrapping Uber drivers. You know, making up a huge elaborate story to get the sympathy of an Uber driver, and then arresting them for, you know, illegally giving rides. So Gabe and I have both driven for Uber in the past, so this kind of struck a nerve with both of us. So I want to go ahead and play some clips. Here's the first one, and this is from Atlanta Black Star on YouTube. Uber driver exposes undercover cops trying to trap other drivers. And sorry about the sound quality of this, but the guy's walking around on the street with his cell phone, so there's a lot of traffic noise.
And these two people are the two individuals that entrapped me right here, and they're trying to do it right now. They're trying to get every other Uber driver. They're trying to get every other Uber driver and this driver right now. Be dope if I can catch one. Look at her, waving people down. The woman said that she didn't have a phone, or no, she said that her phone was out of battery, and the guy said he had a flip phone. Said he had cash. They're trying to catch all kinds of different people. Watch this. Hey, brother, those people are undercover cops. I just got a citation for this. Yeah, they trapped me. Yeah. Good job, guys. I'll see y'all in court. Oh, I thought your phone was dead. Oh, your phone ain't dead no more, huh? Your phone ain't dead no more? Yeah, I didn't take nothing from you. I took nothing from you. I took nothing from neither one of you people, and you know I didn't. You know I didn't take nothing from you. Oh, I'm not harassing nothing. No, I'm not harassing anything. Y'all entrapped me. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job. Oh, now look at this. Look at this. What you mean, how am I doing? I just got trapped, and I just wanted to stop somebody else from getting trapped. That's all.
So how can I help you today? You know, by doing this, you're interfering with an investigation.
I'm not interfering with no investigation.
Yeah. So
No,
whenever
I'm
a
not.
car pulls up,
I'm not interfering with anything. I was making a video, and they just happened to have some people pull up.
okay, so you know you can be arrested.
Wow, right? Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those cops were there maybe 10, 20 seconds after he
Oh,
showed up.
as soon as the one cop got on his little radio or something, right? Or they were either watching
Yeah,
or they had a
yeah, his little yeah. So this is at least two undercover officers and minimum
Oh yeah,
two in a
exactly. So
nearby
here's your
patrol
tax
car.
dollars at work being totally wasted setting up a sting operation to entrap drivers. Like, wow, talk about a victimless crime. Like, what are the numbers of people every year that are injured in an accident by an illegal taxi driver that has insufficient insurance? Right? It's non-existent. This is a non-existent issue, right?
Yeah, it's very strange, and the elaborate ruse of the luggage, the dead phone, the other person has a flip
Right. So we get
phone.
so we got to break down the
Um,
visuals to the people that are listening. So there's two people standing at a bus stop somewhere in LA with a bunch of suitcases, and they claim that their phone's dead and that they need to go to the Staples Center. Like, right? So like, oh, they're trying to paint the picture that they're in town. They're tourists or they're business travelers. They're in town for a business convention. They got to get across town for this convention right away. Their phone's dead. Like, oh, and the guy's got a woman with him. So you're like, oh, a husband and a wife, and like, oh man, so they're trying to pull on your heartstrings to set you up.
yeah,
Unfreaking believable.
totally.
So here's another clip of what the hell is this one? This one is CBS Los Angeles. 3 Uber drivers nabbed in LAPD sting. Call their arrest entrapment.
Arrested all 3 drivers and impounded their cars. An LA Department of Transportation spokesman confirmed the agency participates in these types of operations along with LA police. He says Uber drivers and many others like limo drivers, for example, are subject to arrest if they agree to a ride that was not prearranged.
It's not safe business.
Legal analyst Steve Meister says even Uber drivers are considered bandit cabs if they stop for someone off the book.
There's no accountability for the passenger. There's no accountability for the driver. And so there has to be regulation in this business.
But the drivers believe it was entrapment. They say they've never asked people if they need a ride and have near perfect customer rating.
I felt like I was a criminal. Bluntly, I think it's very cruel. It could be handled, I think, a lot better way. This is going to set me back bad.
The driver.
There's no freaking crime. Really, there's no victim. So what's the crime? And, and the guy's like, well, there's no accountability. The legal analyst for CBS, there's no accountability. There needs to be accountability. Well, yeah, but there's no victim. So why penalize these people who are working for barely over minimum wage, busting their ass? Why not get on Uber or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, probably the shadiest thing or the most gray area aspect as far as liability that I felt as a driver was that gray area of when does Uber's insurance kick in? When are you on your own insurance, which doesn't want you driving for Uber? Is it when you get the call and you're driving by yourself in the car to pick them up? Is it when you just have the app on and you're cruising around waiting for a ride? So I'm just grateful that I never got into an accident and never really had to figure that clusterfuck out.
Yeah, basically, you just hope you don't get in an accident. Exactly, because there's all these nuances that Uber has bribed the insurance companies to take part in. Like they don't cover if you're in an accident before you pick the rider up, even if the app is on, it's not Uber's responsibility. Like, what? No, I'm on the app. If the app is turned on, it should be all on Uber, right?
Right, and I think that's another probably reason that they push so hard for the independent contractor status of all their employees was so maybe they could just you know dump the responsibility on us to get commercial driving insurance, or whatever it's called, which is at a big
Right.
time premium. So it all just
The
kind
whole
of
thing stinks. And what really pisses me off beyond anything else about this whole story is the law enforcement and legislators bending over backwards to favor Uber, but fuck taxi drivers. Like, they never did a sting like this to help taxi drivers, right? Like, I don't know, like,
No.
basically Uber should have been fined out of existence because they were operating illegally, and there were other companies waiting in the wings who filed all the paperwork legally. So Uber should have been made an example of, and that would have just created a vacuum. Those other companies, Lyft, etc., could have filled that void. But for some reason, and money speaks louder than anything else in our society, so it leads me to believe that Uber just bribed the shit out of all of our legislators.
Well, I mean, they did essentially through lobbying for that proposition that was just passed, making us all independent contractors.
Yeah, such a joke. And then there's the whole thing of the police taking part in it. How are they protecting and serving, in this regard? And then that just gets me started on, when they could be out fighting white collar crime, where there's real money at stake, where people's bank, savings and retirements are getting stolen by white collar corporate criminals. They could be out investigating that shit instead of eating a donut and doing a sting operation to get the lowest on the totem pole. But that brings me to where the police started. So metropolitan police, as we know them, were created to basically put down worker revolts and labor riots. First, there only used to be the sheriff's department. Then the companies, mainly the coal mining companies, would hire this company called Pinkerton Security, and it was a bunch of ex-sheriffs that were now basically hired guns and thugs, and they would show up with a bunch of guns and put down strikes, with violence by shooting people. And that force eventually turned into the Metropolitan Police Department, as we know them. So pigs, as we know them, were created to put down worker revolts when workers rise up to demand, say, an 8-hour workday, a 40-hour work week, the end to child labor. All those issues. Blood was spilled in the streets of America in every single city. And this is an issue that nobody knows about. None of our history books talk about it. You're not taught this in school. And that's the history of the police department. And you see that history coming forth when movements like Black Lives Matter come to the forefront. Who do the cops side with? Target, not the people protesting, right?
Yeah,
keeping the people in their place and protecting property over people. They don't give a shit about the people. They're protecting the property, right?
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, this is downtown LA. I mean, there's plenty of drugs, gangs, human trafficking. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on
right.
in
There's
LA.
Probably a snuff flick being filmed somewhere right around within 2 miles of where they are, right?
Totally, or a break-in taking place or an assault taking place, or the fact that they would choose this low-hanging fruit to go after. I think it just kind of shows that I don't know if they just want to kind of polish up their arrest record, or make it seem like, okay, we can nab these guys really easily, so let's do it. But it doesn't seem like it's in the best interest of society or keeping us
Yeah,
safe.
I don't get it. I don't put any priority on that. It's not even on my radar as far as things that I would like the police to be doing.
I mean, they're basically keeping us safe from, good-hearted Uber drivers who will give you a lift
Yeah.
when your phone dies.
Yeah, fuck a good Samaritan.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah, well done.
trying to.
And that, yeah, I mean,
What's that?
and I've been there on a couple different occasions. Just waiting for a ride. Both times we're in downtown Santa Rosa. One time, it's late, like after bar hours, like probably a little after 2 a.m. This couple kind of ambles up over to me and says, "Hey, are you still driving?" I go, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for a ride." They go, "Hey, my phone died, but I live, 2 miles that way or whatever. Can you help us out?" And I said, "Sure." You know, um, because it's dark out, it's late, it's cold, whatever. They're drunk, they don't want to walk home. It's probably a lot less safe for them to be walking
Yeah,
home.
you're breaking
quite
up a little
frankly.
bit, buddy.
Okay.
Did you charge them?
Yeah, basically he said, "Hey, I'll give you," I forget what it was, $10 to give me a ride home. Like basically what it would have been to,
Right.
do an Uber ride was
Yeah.
essentially what it was. And I said, "Sure, I'll help you out." And then the only other time something like that's happened to me was in downtown Santa Rosa. It was after a big event. I think it was after the Vineman Triathlon was finishing up right in downtown Santa Rosa. And it had been a really busy night. And I just dropped someone off. And I think I'm like getting ready to pull out of the parking lot and kind of go find a place to park to wait for the next. And this guy just kind of flags me down. I forget if he jumped in my car, but says, "Hey, man, I forget what happened. Like someone someone stole his phone and he lost his wallet and he's just really flustered and he had to go to Roner Park and we're in downtown Santa Rosa." And I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can help you, man." He's like, "Look, man, I don't have a phone. I can't call anybody. I don't live in Santa Rosa." I said, "Okay, fine." And I guess he had an ATM card. We went to an ATM. He gave me $20. I took him to Roner Park.
Done. Yeah.
Case closed. But I mean, he was really
Now,
stranded.
if there's gonna be a sting operation, shouldn't it be for drivers who are out sharking, who are out, trying to hustle? Like, "Hey, man, I'll give you a ride off app for $20 cash."
Exactly. That's the real problem as far as I can tell. The one that's like, "Hey, man, this is going to be a pretty long ride. The 25% fee is going to cut like whatever, $25-$30 off the fare. Why don't we just split that $30 and something like that?" I mean, that's the
Right.
real
There's a
problem,
hustler trying to work off
which is
app.
something
But
I
if a rider approaches the driver, look at prostitution, right? They're going after the John, or they're going after the hooker, not the John. Go after the John, right?
right. That would be like someone coming up to you for a date, and then it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. If someone comes up to you with a sad story and a dead phone, I mean, my take is to just believe them and help them out if you feel
Yeah.
like you can.
But if you're out there hustling, like trying to cut other Uber drivers out of the mix, like, "Hey, man, it's a $40 ride. Hey, I'll do it for 30. Hop in." Those people. Go after those.
Yeah, 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 that's something I would never even consider, because it's just so
Right.
convenient the way that you always get paid for your rides through Lyft and Uber. So you're taken care of there. And then ideally you'd like to think you're taken care of insurance wise. I've never put that to the test, but I guess you have $1 million of Uber's insurance, but I think they still want you to try to claim that on your insurance policy, and only if your insurance policy box it at, paying out damages for a ride, then they kick in. I've heard it's kind of, I don't know. I'm still a little
Yeah,
skeptical of
it's a
it.
little dicey, the details.
Yeah, the details are very dicey.
But
it's just another one of those gray areas that they operate in, though. Just another example.
yeah, yeah, all the benefit leans towards Uber, and none of the benefit leans towards the drivers. It's the constant story there. It's going to be interesting how
Right, and then
how this, the January 20th, the change takes place January 20th, I guess. So it'll be interesting.
You're talking about
The new law,
government,
the Uber Proposition 22, because
is
Uber's been trying to do all kinds of things to keep drivers, like name your own rate, name your own price, right? So you get a ride request, you can say, I'll do it for $15, which that's true independent contractordom, right? But it's going to be interesting to see how it changes, now that we're in the new year, when the new law takes place.
Yeah, it would be interesting if when you go to set up your profile, you could say, okay, this is how much I charge per mile. This is how much I charge per pickup. When the ride starts, you could say, this is how much I charge. Like we've talked about it a lot. I think this is one thing that we both don't like is being in downtown Santa Rosa and getting pinged for a ride in Cotati or Petaluma.
Right. You should be able to say, okay, I want to stay in the town I'm in, or I want to stay within 15 miles of a radius, right?
Right. Or say, look, if it's out of this zone, if I have to drive 15 or 20 minutes, like say from Petaluma to Novato to pick you up, well, then the ride doesn't start at, $3 or whatever. It starts at $13, because that's really in real time how much it took me to get there.
Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy that you don't get paid at all until you get there. And sometimes you got to drive 10, 15 minutes to go get them. And yeah, it's just
right. And oftentimes, yeah, right when you hop on the freeway to go pick them up is often when that ride gets canceled by the rider.
and then you can get nothing. So just like, what? Wait a minute. You connected me for a ride. I'm on my way there. There should be some kind of payment. There should be some kind of penalty so that the riders don't cancel like that. Right? Because they'll see an Uber drive up right in front of them and they'll cancel. And then you don't get paid jack shit.
Right. They'll say, oh, wait, this ride's still 17 minutes away. Ding, done. And then, right, you get nothing. Yeah, it's a strange the way system, that I guess
the way you can't see the destination of the rider is bullshit, and riders don't know that. Like they get in, they think you know where they're going. So like they trip out when I'm like, where are you going? I'm like, oh no, it doesn't tell me until we start the trip.
Right, until you pick them up, hit confirm, and then from there you confirm the destination.
Which is bullshit, because that's not how a taxi ever worked. The taxi driver knows where they're picking you up and where you're going.
Right, and then they even know little details like if there's going to be multiple stops, if we're picking someone else.
Like I've been on my way home before, and I'm like, oh fuck, let me take one more ride. 3:30 in the morning, the motherfuckers were going to the San Francisco airport.
Right, that's not a ride you want to take.
Like what the hell? I did it because the guy was running late for his flight. Fucking there's But fuck, talk about shitty. So all of a sudden now, 4:30 in the morning, I'm in fucking South San Francisco. Coming home with the sun coming out. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's brutal getting one of those long destinations when you're not ready for it.
So that's bullshit. The surprise factor. There should be no fucking surprises.
Yep. Yeah. Surprise. We're going.
No surprise. No, we're not. Yeah, you should be able to. You should be able to say, I want to stay within a 15 or 20 mile radius of where I'm at, you should have options. I want to stay within 15 miles, within 30 miles, within 60 miles, or I don't care. Send me wherever. You should also be able to request,
Right.
I want to take, there should be unlimited destinations if it's in one direction, right? Like on my way home kind of thing, right? Or on the way to San Francisco airport.
Yeah, I mean, part of the thing, part of the flexibility argument that is nice, but okay, let's say that you have a 4 hour window and you want to Uber from 12 to 4.
Right.
And then let's say it's 3 p.m. You should be able to put, I'm clocking out at 4. So Uber knows not to give me any long rides. I have something going on at 4:30. I need to have my last drop off at or
Right.
before 4 p.m. So you should be able to set that. So, give me the ride according to that. Don't give me any long rides that are going to take over an hour or, like that. Like saying this guy goes off shift at 4. So no, he's not going to get the long one. That would be nice to be able to cap your night and say, this is when I need to
Right.
get off.
But you
gas.
can't. And I've gotten screwed by that so many times. Another time I was trying to stay local and just picking up people at, after a show at, what's the name of that place? That old theater in Petaluma. But the place closes and I get a ride.
The old
They're going
Mystic
to
or Phoenix.
San Francisco, and I
Phoenix
don't
Theater
want
and
to San
Phoenix
Francisco.
Theater.
So what the fuck? Like I wanted to stay in Sonoma County. Once again, on the road, 45 minutes, an hour away. Not cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a nice feature to be able to, set a hard out for yourself.
Well, if there was true independent contractordom, that's what it would be like. You would set all your own rules. So it's bullshit that they call it being an independent contractor. You're not. You can't decline more than like 3 or 4 rides without them kicking you off the platform for the night.
Right? Yeah, because then your acceptance rates dips down, and I've been threatened to be deplatformed from Lyft. Uber's a little
they
more
just won't send you any more rides.
lenient.
Like,
Oh yeah, I've heard horror stories about people not accepting a ride, and then you're canceled from Lyft. You can no longer drive for them. Like no nothing.
Or they'll just not send you any more that day. Like, oh, you've canceled 3 or 4. Okay, we're not going to send you anymore.
Yeah, I remember one time I got pretty close to that when I pulled up to get gas and go to the bathroom, and I forgot to turn my app off. I get back in, I've missed like 3 rides.
And it shouldn't be that kind of high stress. There shouldn't be a penalty. If you're an independent contractor, there's no fucking penalty. You do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, just on to the next. You didn't accept it, it just goes to the next
so
person.
What? But it's so corporate that they favor the rider over the driver so much that if you're not there to give exemplary service, you're kicked off.
Right. Yeah, if you're not there to provide, Tic Tacs and bottled water and everything else that they want.
Right, because as a driver, you can get kicked off the platform, meaning fired from your job for just your ratings going below 4, not accepting enough rides, having complaints by riders, and those complaints can be lies, a bunch of made up shit if you have a personality clash. But as a driver, all you can do is file a complaint against the rider, and all Uber or Lyft will do is not match you with that rider again. But they don't punish the fucking rider at all because that's their bread and butter.
Yeah, I always cringe when I see a really lowly rated rider, because usually those are the late night drunkies that really give drivers a hard time.
Yeah, and that's all you can do is give them a low rating.
Yeah, and I try to not even do that. I really try to, give people the benefit of the doubt and see my way to give them 5 stars. And it's just crazy. I remember doing a pickup for a group of women that were staying, I think, at a nearby hotel. They wanted to go to the new Russian River in Windsor, and they had put in Russian River in downtown Santa Rosa. So so I pick them up, said, hey, we're heading over to the Russian River. They go, yep, you got it. And then they say, hey, where are you going? I'm going, oh, just going Russian River where it's sending me. No, we're going to the one in Windsor. I go,
You didn't tell me
okay.
that.
Sorry, it says the one in Santa Rosa on my app. You must have put that in. She goes, no, we're going to the one in Windsor. And then, so I pull over, say, okay, let me change that. She goes, no, just drive. I'm like, what? I don't know exactly how to get there. Let me change it. So she's getting frustrated with me. Turns out, long story short, I dropped them off, no fault of my own. They kind of huff and puff, get out of the car. I got rated 1 star.
Wow.
So yeah, stuff like that, can drive your performance down when really you did nothing wrong.
You just picked up the wrong entitled C word.
People. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a tough break. That's a really tough
break. Totally. Yeah, no, and that's the most mind-boggling, hair-pulling thing about Uber is entitled young women.
Yeah, and just people that have, that are just way too drunk. They put down their pickup location wrong, or they put down the bar that they were at. Now that they're at a new bar and they want you to drive across town and get them, just people that just can't get it straight.
And then get an attitude with you because they fucked up.
Or how about the you go to pick someone up at their house really late at night, but really that's where they want you to drop them off. So you say, hey, I'm here. I've been waiting 5 minutes. I'm getting ready to cancel. You coming out? They're like, what do you mean coming out? I'm right out front. I don't see you. I'm like, well, I'm at your house, and they're like, oh, well, we're actually at Grayton Casino. That's where we want to be dropped off. I'm like, well, I'm 30 minutes away from you.
Learn how to use the app.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah, that's probably happened to you,
totally.
I'm guessing.
And then once again, zero compensation. Uber or Lyft doesn't even give you $1 for that. You're just sitting there for who knows how long. And what kills me too is the wait. Yeah. Like the meter should start as soon as you pull up and say, I have arrived, because you have to confirm that you've arrived. So as soon as you confirm that you have arrived, that meter should start. Giving them a 2-minute wait period is freaking bullshit.
I think it's down to 2.
It used to be 5. But even 2 is bullshit because they're never ready.
And I think the wait period is still like
28 cents a minute. It's nothing. So like, really? Unbelievable. Yeah, like what's 25 cents times what would that be? If you're getting 25 cents a minute, let me see here. 0.25 times.
I think it's roughly about
$15 an hour is the waiting fee tonight. 28 cents a minute times 60 minutes, $15. So,
not to mention, it may have taken you 10 minutes just to get there.
So you're making zero money for 12 minutes now, and their slap in the face waiting fee is $15 an hour. Fuck you! It should be $25 an hour. It should be so high that it prevents people from keeping you waiting. Don't call the Uber till you're freaking ready. Right?
Right.
How many times have you pulled up and they'll be like,
yeah, I've pulled up many times, waited 5 minutes, and then called, and then said, and then they go, "Oh, you're here." They're surprised to realize that you're there.